is depending on how long that particular concept is supposed to take. Whether it's davening a certain amount, whether it's eating, it's another amount, reyach is another amount, but the idea of it is whatever the time that needs to be taken, so tefillin, whatever the zman, the general amount that a person should be wearing his tefillin, if he waits longer than that, that's a hefsek. A suda, the time of what a suda should take, and that applies to a sukkah. Same thing, because the ikar, as the Rabbi uses the expression, the ikar concept of a sukkah is for eating, although there are chiyuvim for other things as well. Some say it's even a chiyuv for sleeping in the sukkah. So from that perspective, it would be a whole day and all night. You have to do everything in the sukkah, which is what it says in the Shulchan Aruch. But the point of it is, as the Rabbi says, the ikar thing of sukkah is the eating in the sukkah. So again, the concept of the hefsek is depending how much time it takes. So, although it depends on each individual, but at the same time, somebody who generally davens longer, for a person that it takes him generally a longer amount of time for davening, for him, a hefsek would be a longer amount of time. That's why it says, shtayim oy shalish, 2 or 3 hours, as opposed to 1 or 2 hours. Actually, for tefillah, it's 1 or 2. But the point of it is that it should take minimally an hour. If it takes 2 hours, for those that daven longer, or when we talk about a suda, a similar concept, but the idea of it is, what it takes you to do that, if you're mafsik that amount, that is considered a hefsik. Okay. Now we're up to Meikum hatalis vatfilin b'natik shalahen. Where do you place your talis and tefillin? In the talis bag. So we take off the tefillin and we take off the talis, and generally what we do is we put them into the same talis bag. So yesh lahaniach es hatefillin shel yad v'shel roish b'natik shalahen. The shel yad and shel roish should be put into their particular talis tefillin bag, but even kazeh, but in such a way that when you're up to actually putting on the tefillin, first you're going to reach the tefillin shel yad, because that's the first one that you put on. You remember, we learned before that needs to be put on first, and we derive it from a pasuk. So it's really a concept that's min ha-Torah. Al pi Torah, al pi din Torah, you need to be wearing the shel yad and then the shel rosh. Because that when you're wearing the tefillin on your head, you have to have 2 of them on. So the shel rosh, first you put on the shel yad, and then when you put on the shel rosh, both of them are on together. So therefore, the first one that you should be reaching to is the shel yad, because that comes on first. That is the first pair of tefillin. That's the first tefillin that you need to put on. And this way, you won't transgress what it says that a person should not be ma'avid ala mitzvahs. Overstepping, overgoing, you have a mitzvah to do, and you pass up on it, and you do another mitzvah. So in this case, if you're going to reach the shel rosh first, and you can't put on the shel rosh first, because as we said, when you have the shel rosh on, you need to have 2 of them on. So when you have the shel rosh, you need already to have the shel yad. So you need to put the shel yad first. So similarly, because of that, when you reach for one of the tefillin, you should reach for, naturally, you should be reaching for the shel yad first, so you can put on the shel yad. And once you put on the shel yad, then you put on the shel rosh. Not a problem. You shouldn't be medalig ala mitzvah shenizdam lo liyadi. You should not skip over a mitzvah that came your way. A mitzvah came your way, do that mitzvah. Don't decide, okay, this mitzvah came my way, but I'm going to do the next mitzvah first. So that's why when you reach for the tefillin, the first part of the tefillin that you should reach is the shel yad, because that's what has to come on first, and then you get to the shel rosh. What happens? Yeah, okay. you have to reach the Shal Yad first. But for some reason, mistakenly, you reach the Shal Rosh first. Let's say you have the Shal Yad on the left side, but you put your hand in to reach the Shal Rosh, and you took the Shal Rosh out. So now the question becomes, we know you have to have the Shal Rosh on when you have both of them on, and here you're reaching the Shal Rosh. So now you have two options. Either you should say, okay, oh, mistake. I took the Shal Rosh first, put it down, and then take the Shal Yad. So what you're basically doing is ma'avir ala mitzvah. You're passing up on a mitzvah. You're holding the Shal Rosh. And you're saying, no, I'm not doing this now. First, I'm going to go to the Shal Yad. So you're transgressing. You're being ma'avir ala mitzvah. You're not supposed to be ma'avir ala mitzvah. You're not supposed to pass over a mitzvah, but that's what you're going to do. Or do we say, pass over the mitzvah, because the first one that has to go on is the Shal Yad. So you're in a situation now, what do? Which one are you going to overlook? Are you going to overlook the mitzvah of ma'avir ala mitzvah? You're going to say, yes, I touched the Shal Rosh first, but I'm supposed to put on the Shal Yad first. I'm going to put back down the Shal Rosh, and I'm going to go to the Shal Yad. Or do I say, yes, even though I touched the Shal Rosh first, and I don't want to be ma'avir ala mitzvah, but I'm going to be ma'avir ala mitzvah because I want to put the Shal Yad on first, because that's the one you need to do. So you're in a dilemma. What do? So the halacha is, Yidalig al mitzvah tefillin Shal Rosh. The halacha is you should put down the Shal Rosh, even though you touched it and you're holding it even, and you're ready to take it out. So what do? You put it down. And you take the Shal Yad first, take it out, put it on, then you put on the Shal Rosh. Yidalig ala mitzvah Shal Rosh. You step over the mitzvah Shal Rosh, of the tefillin Shal Rosh. V'yaschol mi mitzvah tefillin Shal Yad, and you put on the tefillin Shal Yad, although you're being ma'avir ala mitzvah. Now, why is that so? Why did we do that? Why is that mitzvah more important to put on the Shal Yad first than not being ma'avir ala mitzvah? Why is it more important? And the answer is, because as we said, why do we put on the Shal Yad first? Because Torah says, when you're putting on the Shal Rosh, you have to have already the Shal Yad there. And if the Kshartum le'es al yodecha first, and then v'hoyu l'teitofa is bein yinacha. The teitofa is both Shal Yad and Shal Rosh. So the Torah tells us that you have to have the Shal Rosh on second. So yes, on the one hand, you don't want to be ma'avir ala mitzvah, but not being ma'avir ala mitzvah is not something that the Torah tells us that you're not allowed to do that. The Chachamim told us not to do that. And the Chachamim say, generally that's a rule, but if because of that you're going to be transgressing something that the Torah clearly states, then we'll put aside our instructions, and we'll say under these circumstances, you are ma'avir ala mitzvah, and you do what the Torah instructs you very clearly to do. So again, you should take the Shal Yad out first, but if by mistake you took out the Shal Rosh, you put it down, and you take the Shal Yad, and then you put on the Shal Yad, and then you put on the Shal Rosh. So in order for that to happen, you have to know that the Shal Yad is always on the left side of the tefillin bag, and the Shal Rosh is on the right side. So when you open up the tefillin bag, you're going to have your hand going to the Shal Yad, to the left side, and then it'll go to the Shal Rosh, and you get yourself used to doing that. So as a rule, you will not be ma'avir ala mitzvah. So that's with the tefillin. We do the Shal Yad first. So too, gamis hatalis v'tefillin. So too, when we have the talis and tefillin in the talis bag, you have the tefillin in it and you have the talis in it. So there too, you have to be careful. What do you have to be careful? You have to put it into the bag in such a way that when you come to actually put on, you open up the bag, and now in the bag you have talis and tefillin. And now, what do you have to put on first? The talis. So the way it should be sitting in the bag is also in a way that you get to the talis first, as opposed to some people, they put in the talis, and then on top of the talis, they put on the tefillin. That's not the way to do it, because if you're putting it on top of the talis, So when you open the bag, on top of the talus is first the tefillin. So you want to take out the tefillin first, and then you take the talus, as opposed to slipping out the talus from under the tefillin. So you're sort of passing up on the tefillin. So yesh la'anichon, the way to put it into the bag properly is, before we said with the shalyad and the shalarosh, you put the shalyad on the left side. With the talus and tefillin, yesh la'anichon, it should be put in such a way Benartik shalahen in the bag, but in such a way that when you're going to be putting on the talus and tefillin, tifkesh yadei tchila es hatalis. First thing you reach is the talus. In other words, the talus is on top of the tefillin, so you'll be reaching the talus first. Shehi dava rishon setzarich lahaniach. That's the first thing you have to put on. So you're going to reach the talus first. And if you put it in that way, that's what you're going to reach first, you won't transgress being ma'avid ala mitzvah, because if you're going to have the talus and the tefillin are going to be on top of the talus, and you need to be putting on first the talus, so you're going to reach the tefillin. You see it often. If you look around in the morning, you'll see some people, they open up that tefillin bag, the talus bag rather, and they take out the tefillin, put it down on the table, then they take out the talus and put it on. Shouldn't do it that way, because what you're doing is you're taking the tefillin, holding it, and you're setting it aside. And then you're going to come back to it after you put on your talus. You're not supposed to do that. If you're holding the tefillin, you should put on the tefillin, don't set it aside. So the proper way to do it is take out your talus first and set it up in your talus bag in a way that's what you're going to take out first. And after you take out the talus, then you'll take out the tefillin. So you'll be taking out in the proper way. What's that? Well, even before that. That's the first thing. Yeah. I mean, the right thing to do, the better way to do that is keep your yarmulke in your pocket. Don't keep it in the bag. Because you want to wear the yarmulke not just when you're putting on tefillin, there's maybe when you walk into the shul, you want to put on your kippah. So it's not even, let's say your bag is somewhere in your locker, and you have it in your pocket, so that as soon as you want to put on your kippah, your kippah is always available. So in other words, the point of it is certainly that what comes first should be more available than what comes after that. So what should you do practically? So there's two options. Either you put the talus in the front, if it's a big bag and you can have it in the front, and there's a back, so put the talus in the front of the bag. So that's what you get to first. Or you put it, if it's not that big of a bag and it has to go on top or on bottom of one another, put it in such a way that the talus is on top of the tefillin, so that when you take it out, you're taking out the talus first, then the tefillin are behind that, underneath it, then you'll get to the tefillin. So just like we asked the question, if you happen to reach the shalarosh first, not the shalyad, what do? And we concluded that even if you reach the shalarosh first, you should put that back down and put on the shalyad. Now the question becomes, what if with your talus bag you touch the tefillin first? You're supposed to get the talus first, but mistakenly you got to the tefillin first. If you reached the tefillin first, either you touched it first, or for whatever reason you took it out. You took out the tefillin, like we described before. Sometimes the people take out their tefillin, put it down on the table, and then they want to put on their talus. So here, you took out the tefillin. So we say you shouldn't take it out and put it down and then put on the talus. Well, let's say you did take it out. What should you do right now? You're holding it. You're holding the tefillin. Oh, mistake. I should have taken the talus out, but I'm holding the tefillin now. So now here we have an if. So what should we do? We said we should take out the talus first, because that comes first. But now you took it out, and you have the tefillin you're holding, and you can decide to put it back and get to the talis, or you can say, I'm holding it already, I should put it on first. So what's the halacha? So the halacha is, if the tefillin, like they're normally in, besides the bag, they also have a case. The tefillin have the cover of the tefillin. So it's not that you have the tefillin and some people, if they don't put it in a case, that's a different story. But if besides having it in a bag, in the bag itself, they're in a case, they're covered in a case. So if the tefillin are in a case, besides being in a bag, then then even though you've taken out the tefillin bag, you can still put it down and take the talis and put it on because that comes first. And after that, you put on the tefillin. Why? If you do it after that, you're holding the tefillin case, you're going to put it down, so you're going to be ma'avir ala mitzvah. You're going to skip over a mitzvah because you have the tefillin in your hands. So the reason why it's not considered skipping over a mitzvah and it's okay for you to put it back down, the reason is because in this case we said that if they, besides being in their bag, they're also in a case. So it's not right there in front of you yet. You have to take it out of the bag and take it out of the case, and then you have the tefillin ready to be put on. So you haven't really had the mitzvah right in front of you and skipped over it. It's still waiting to be opened up. So in a situation like that, since the talis needs to be put on first, it's okay to put down the tefillin because the tefillin are really not uncovered, and you're not considered being ma'avir ala mitzvah under those circumstances. But if the tefillin, somebody decided he was lazy, and instead of wrapping up the tefillin the way they should be wrapped up, he put his talis into the bag, and then he just stuck his tefillin into the bag on top of the talis. Now he opens up the bag, he reaches out, takes out his tefillin, puts it on top of his talis, puts it down on the table. So in that case, we said he's being ma'avir ala mitzvah. He's not allowed to do that. So what should he do? If he takes out his tefillin and they're open because they're not in a case, he didn't wrap it up in a case. So if he has it in a case, we said earlier, it's not considered ma'avir ala mitzvah because they're still covered. So he can put it down comfortably on the table and get to the talis first. But if they're outside of a case, so when he takes out the tefillin, he's holding the tefillin, they're ready to be put on. And now we're going to tell him, no, you have to put the tefillin on first. I'm sorry, you have to put the talis on first. So put down the tefillin. If you're going to put down the tefillin when it's ready to be put on already, that is considered being ma'avir ala mitzvah, stepping over a mitzvah. So before, with the shal yad and the shal rosh, we said even though you're stepping over a mitzvah, but still, in that case, the shal rosh needs the shal yad has to come first because the Torah says so. It's not just the Chachamim said you should have the shal yad first. The Torah tells us there's a pasuk that clearly states that the shal rosh has to be on after the shal yad. So there, even though you're going to be ma'avir ala mitzvah, you still have to put on the shal yad first. But in this case, both of these issues are midrabanan. The concept of putting on the talis first, as well as the ma'avir ala mitzvah. So if you're holding the tefillin in your hand already, and they're ready to be put on, although normally the talis should be put on first, but so that you don't step over a mitzvah, the halacha in this case would be that you should put on, if you're holding it, you should put on the tefillin first, and then put on the talis. Let's not be lazy and wrap the tefillin up, put it into the bag right, so there's no issues. But even if you don't put it into the bag right, the fact that they're wrapped up in the bag, so even if you take it out, you still are allowed to put it down and put the talis on first. Okay.